All right, it's Monday. That means we begin with a little reaction or no action. I read a statement. Mr. Foljam either reacts to that statement or he has no action. He disagrees, no action whatsoever. Here is where we will begin. Reaction or no action? Buffalo Bills wide receiver Stefon Diggs, who is one of the best in the business this season, will have at least 2 touchdown receptions in Sunday's AFC Championship game.
No action on that bad boy. As great as Stefon Diggs is, I think he'll have a big game because he's always catching 6 or 7 balls for 100 yards. That's just how good he is right now. But he's not necessarily an end zone dominator, so to speak. He's not the Devontae Adams who gets in the end zone on multiple occasions in a game. Just one game this year where he had 2 or more touchdowns. That was Week 16, where they beat up on the New England Patriots. Yep. KC allowed the second fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers, and that's kind of a broad, vague metric, but they're good at limiting your wide receiver production. They only had 2 wide receivers this year who scored multiple touchdowns in a game against them, Mike Evans and Tim Patrick of the Denver Broncos, because L'Jarius Sneed's been great as a rookie. Tyrann Mathieu is really, really good, and I don't know what it is about Steve Spagnuolo's defense this year in specific, but they've been good at limiting wide receiver-specific production. So while I do think Diggs will have a nice day, again, 6, 7 catches for 80, 90, 100 yards, maybe a touchdown, 2 is, I think, asking too much in terms of probability.
Give me 3-1, and I'll react, and I'll go ahead and bet that. 3-1.
3-1.
Everything you laid out, the past, the history, what happens with Kansas City, all very good information. So it is unlikely something like this will happen. But I want to throw a few things your way. Diggs, in terms of targets and receptions. During the regular season, 10 targets per game, 7 receptions per game. During the playoffs, 10 targets per game, 7 receptions per game. The level of competition has increased. His game remains the same. He's found the end zone in both playoff games so far, and in addition to that, there's no running game with Buffalo anymore.
Right.
Did they even run the ball once? Yes, they ran the ball a few times against Baltimore. But if Zach Moss's injury is going to force this team to be pass first, and they could be throwing a lot if the Chiefs get up big on him in this game, Diggs is going to have opportunities to get into the end zone. I will play for the reaction there. Give me 3-1. I want to price 3-1.
You may have.
At the House of Foljam Sportsbook. Foljam Palace Sportsbook.
Foljam Palace. Ooh,
Sounds nice, doesn't it? Reaction or no action number 2. Tom Brady will have more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers, his counterpart, in this Sunday's NFC Championship game.
Yeah, no action again for me. Green Bay had the second-ranked secondary in the National Football League, according to Pro Football Focus, behind only the LA Rams. You got Jair Alexander, you got Kevin King, Adrian Amos. They've been awesome in terms of limiting what you can do through the air. Again, the way to attack Green Bay all year long has been on the ground. We saw the Rams try and do that with Cam Akers, who had a nice day, but the fact that Aaron Rodgers got so far out in front of them, they couldn't really keep pounding Cam Akers to stay in that game in the divisional round. Matt LaFleur, I think he's going to have to put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands as well, because on the other side, we know that the Tampa Bay rush defense was the best in the NFL this year, and they might be getting Vita Vea, their big 350-pound space eater, back for this game, just further fortifying that defensive line. So I do think the Packers win this game, and if they're going to do that, as great as Aaron Jones is, Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT, the greatest, and they're going to rely on 12 to knock down Tom Brady to beat that Tampa Bay defense. So I think Rodgers is the guy who has the most passing yards, in that game.
Mind meld, I'm with you on this one. No disagreement whatsoever. Saturday morning, we did an episode of Daily Wager, and we were looking for odds on who would rush for the most yards this weekend, who would throw for the most yards. Aaron Rodgers was 11-1. 11-1 of the 8 quarterbacks playing. Rodgers was 11-1, and he did it. He threw for more yards than anybody, and he did it against the best defense in the NFL in the Los Angeles Rams. Tampa is going to come out. They're going to want to run the ball in this game. That's Green Bay's weak spot, running the ball against Green Bay. As my colleague alluded to over here, Cam Akers had a mighty fine performance against that defense. That is how you keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. Rodgers, Packers aren't going to be doing as much. If you're going to win, you're going to do it on the arm of 12. He's going to throw for more than Brady. Reaction or no action, number 3. The Tampa Bay Green Bay over-under is currently listed at 51 points. The Kansas City Buffalo over-under is currently listed at 54 points. So, reaction or no action? Both games will go over the total this weekend.
No action yet again. Is Patrick Mahomes playing?
We do not know.
Don't know that, because if Patrick Mahomes is not playing, boy, I think that total's a wee bit too high in Kansas City. And we just saw, again, the Buffalo offense has, it's been great all season long, but they scored just 10 points, basically, in that matchup against Baltimore last week. And Taron Johnson, with his big interception return, provided another 7. This worked for me last week with the Saints and the Bucks, but I found a great metric, and now it's been updated to be 22 of 29 games involving Tom Brady since 2015 with a total north of 50 have gone under, including last week's matchup with the Saints.
You didn't even need to look at your notes.
No,
I got it memorized.
Remembered it from last week, being
Wow.
21 of 28. I did the simple math of saying last night's game went under, so
Add
that's now
one.
22 of 29 games since 2015, where Tom Brady's the starting quarterback and the totals north of 50 have gone under. So I'm going to know no action on this. At least one's going under.
Agreed. 3 points. Number one, the 4 defenses playing this weekend gave up an average of 14 points per game over the weekend. Now, that's a very small sample size. Reason number 2, both games are going to be hosted in cold weather cities that could bring weather issues to the table. And number 3, bookmakers know the public wants to bet overs in marquee games like this. They'll shade the number a little bit higher in some instances. There might be some value on the under. Maybe one goes over. I don't see both going over. Reaction, no action, number 4. We have not seen Kyrie Irving suit up for the Brooklyn Nets since January 5th when he scored 29 points in a win over the Utah Jazz. Since that time, the Nets have played 6 games. So, reaction or no action, Kyrie Irving will not finish the season with the Brooklyn Nets.
A clean sweep for the no action bros.
Oh.
Where is Kyrie going to go? Like who's going to take Kyrie at this point? Who's going to take his salary? Who's going to take whatever issues are forcing him to miss time with his team? So bottom line is, now that Harden is there, he should be as inspired to play as ever before. So no action. He's either with the Nets or he's not playing basketball this year.
Disagree. I will say action, because I interpret this as you might be under contract with the Nets, but you're not with the Nets, right? Like you're kind of dating, but you haven't seen each other in a while. It's 8th grade. She's holding hands with someone else by the lockers.
My word.
You're with, but not necessarily with. It took 8 games. 8 games into this season before there was an issue. 8 games. Everyone predicted there would be issues. 8 games is all it took, and there was an issue. So now you add Harden to the mix. He's had problems in Cleveland. He's had problems in Boston. He's having problems in Brooklyn. I see them continuing.
Who was the 8th grader who was holding hands with Mark Smith in the Allentown middle school hallways?
Sore subject. I would prefer not to talk about
it.
I know I shouldn't have brought it up.
Those scars take a while to heal. Those scars take a while to heal.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.